Hey, if there's a time when I'm gonna unload on the dudes, it's on this episode. Because I definitely have some shit that I definitely need to talk about. And honestly, I feel like it's a discussion that just needs to be had. Because this is something that has gone on for too long. And people are acting as though there's no actual consequences for the shit that they're doing. But before I do any of that, where are my manners? Welcome to Breakdown on West Side, your number one Breakdown podcast, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. The man on the mic is Sir Denver B. This is a Raw Zone special, aka the shortened version that I usually give throughout the breaks. And I have a couple of posts here by Maurice Matheka, the sex therapist, that I need to read out. Because this shit definitely needs to be spoken about. Now, it's actually a discussion between him and another guy that reached out to him, and I'm going to read everything, both his side and the guy's, because there's something that we need to discuss here. So, it says, and I quote, "Hi Maurice, I do not know how to handle something that happened during the rally weekend in Naivasha. My girlfriend and I were both there, but we had told each other that we would be elsewhere. I saw her, but she never saw me. Now we are back to normal, pretending that we both missed out on the rally weekend. She was with a male colleague, and I saw them get close. I was not alone either, but it kind of killed my mood to see her with another man. Do I confront her or let it be?" Now, Maurice responds by saying, and I quote, "I need to ask you, which mood was killed? Did it render your penis non-functional or did you get laid? If your ego was dented by seeing your girl with another man, such is life. You need to snap out of that nonsense. So, did you fuck?" Dude replies and says, "You know I fucked, but does that mean I should be okay with what I saw?" And Maurice responds by saying, "You and your girl both had your fun. As you confront her, do not leave out your deed, otherwise it's double standards. My opinion, no harm, no foul. There is no need to bring up a weekend that came and went, unless you are done with a relationship. What you should do is figure out why the two of you have to deceive each other. You're both living a lie. At home, you're most likely applying traditional outlooks to your relationship, whereas you both want to break away from that prison. You can enjoy escapades together if you are bold enough to relinquish yourselves from your outdated perceptions of what a relationship should look like. Without that, most will always explore their thrills with others. Hence why Vasha is so famous. Now, I want you to be honest with me. You're Vasha plus one. Is she single or she's someone's woman?" Dude replies, and I quote, "She is not single. I know what you're saying, but still it's not the norm to watch your girl all over another guy." And Maurice continues on to say, "I don't want to get into norms. All of you sold a story to someone to be in Vasha. You were fucking someone's woman and you dare wonder why your girl wanted a different flavor of dick? Boss, wake up from your illusion. If all women were loyal, with whom would we go to Vasha with? These are social realities unless you enjoy bird watching. You can create disharmony or you can work towards attending WRC 2024 together. The ball is in your court." So the guy responds and says, "So are you saying that we should be okay with our women fucking around? Isn't that breaking the traditional role of a man and a woman?" So Maurice responds and says, "Bro, who is we and which women belong to us? This is no time to play the traditional card. We all belong to the streets until we return home. Do not subscribe to games that you have issues with the rules. Otherwise, you and your girl should have cuddled up and watched past rallies together in the safety of your home. When you enter the realm of fuckery, you need to accept your girl could equally subscribe to the same arena. When you are sunk in the same moist vagina, she too wants to feel some girth within her. As they say, don't hate the player, hate the game. It's important to be real about the dynamics we indulge in. You both did your thing. It would be immature to judge her because she is a female. I believe I've shared my views. Over to you, bro." And that concludes the entire conversation that they had. Now, the reason why I brought this up is because, like I said earlier, there's a discussion that we need to have as people. More so as Kenyans or Nairobians. I tend to think that it's almost a Nairobi thing, but I tend to think that this also happens elsewhere. But essentially, this whole cycle of people screwing each other and people screwing each other's partners. Like, this shit has become so rampant. And honestly, if we don't have a discussion on this, then I think that we're just going to continue going down a slope of chaos as a people that we may not be able to get back from for eons to come. Now, I'm going to be honest and say that normally I don't agree with a lot of what Maurice Matheka says, considering that a lot of it will talk about boy toys and getting a side piece and fucking around and shit, and he'll kind of encourage that. But in this particular case, with him and his interaction with this dude, I actually agree with him to about 95% certainty. I agree with just about everything that he said on this entire thing. Because to be very honest, what exactly did dude expect? Like, you're pulling this stunt on your babe, and yes, maybe it was just Vasha that he mentioned, but I don't think it's just Vasha. I think it's a bunch of other things that he's done, and this isn't the first time he's doing it. And him suddenly finding out that, oh shit, my babe's doing the same thing as well. Considering that he was doing it to some other dude's babe, like, it's almost a case of karma when you kind of think about it. And to be very honest, we need to accept that there's a raging problem of people banging other people in this Nairobi, and more so people in relationships banging other people who also tend to be in relationships, that it's actually creating a cycle that people are sort of falling under. Because you're finding that one dude is banging another chick who happens to be someone else's babe, and he has his own babe who's being banged by another dude who has a babe somewhere, and his babe is also being banged by another dude who also has a babe somewhere. And it's this revolving thing that's happening with so many people. And honestly, like, you find that people are accusing each other of cheating, blah blah blah, but at the end of the day, like, you're doing pretty much the same exact things. And then the moment you guys bust each other, suddenly either everything is going to pop off and both of you are going to lose it on each other, or the both of you are going to keep quiet and act like shit didn't happen, even though you know very well that shit has happened, and you guys might not even last for long. And it's a very chaotic situation that's happening with so many people, but I am going to come out and actually take the moment and say that we as the men need to accept that we're actually the architects of all of this bullshit. Because, and this is definitely an unpopular opinion and someone might refute this, but most of the babes that are cheating right now, and this one you can debate it with me, are mostly cheating because guys are cheating. Like, most of these babes, because they know that the dudes that they're with are fucking around, are very willing to go and start fucking around with other dudes because they feel like it's tit for tat. And if dude is going to act all willy-nilly, like he can hide his shit and he can go and fuck around, as if you don't have needs and you don't want dick as well, then you will go and you will find it from someone else. And that is something that I see so many babes doing nowadays. I hear so many stories of babes doing that same shit that, honestly, I have to come back and say that this wouldn't have happened if dudes were a lot more faithful, or at least if more dudes were faithful with their babes. And we can definitely have this debate on this entire thing, but the reality of it is, it's not like a lot of these babes are wired to cheat. It's not like most Nairobi babes just grew and when they got of adult age, they were like, you know what, let's fuck around and cheat on our partners. Nah. A lot of times, if your baby's cheating on you, or if a baby's cheating, it's either because the past nigga or niggas that she was with cheated on her and she decided to do it back then and she's pretty much carried that habit over, or you are cheating on her right now, or her current dude is cheating on her right now and she's doing the same thing because she also wants to have a piece of that fun as well. And by all means, we can have this debate till kingdom come, but most of this shit, if a lot more dudes are faithful, if a lot more dudes aren't trying this shit, would have probably been prevented for the most part, and we wouldn't have to worry about dealing with this sort of chaotic cycle that so many people in Nairobi are getting into. And I know that there's someone that's gonna come out and be like, oh, you know, then how comes those guys don't just get into open relationships? Oh, you know, open relationships would be the best option. And, you know, that kind of feeds into the sort of 5% that I assume Maurice Matheka was talking about, where he was busy talking about having the discussion with his babe so that, you know, they can ensure that the following year they can both go out together and like have, you know, pretty good escapades and be all happy and shit. And frankly, okay, maybe that one's an assumption, but most people that usually run to the whole open relationships thing actually forget that most people out here, at least today, are not wired for open relationships. Yes, are people fucking around? Yes. But does that mean that they'd be wired for an open relationship? No. Most people would not be able to deal with an open relationship. And I can say this not even for the babes, mostly for the guys. Because in as much as getting pussy from different people seems like a good thing, the thought of your babe being railed by another dude or some other dudes, you know, if they're multiple, is so bad. and hurts us so much that we would not want that shit to happen. Although the main reason why we just wouldn't work with open relationships is because open relationships are built on trust. And the one thing that is missing when a lot of these people go and shag around and do that shit in secret is trust. If you can't be trusted when you're not in the company of your partner, that you wouldn't be fucking someone else, how the hell do you think you'd be trusted that you wouldn't catch feelings for one of the other people that you're fucking? Like, you kind of have to contemplate the magnitude of trust that you would have to have before you and someone else decide that you can screw other people, but you will still come back to each other and you will still have love for each other. Like, trust me, that kind of trust is huge, and I don't think most people have it. Which is why, to kind of conclude all of this, I just have to say that, fellas, whatever the hell you think you're doing, like, don't think you're doing that shit alone. You think you're the G that can pull a bunch of different babes, even though you have a girlfriend and you can screw them and, your babe will stay faithful to you? Trust me, there's a couple of hundred other dudes that think the same exact thing. And as they think that, they're very okay banging someone else's. Now, if you decide to tie all of these people together that are busy banging each other's girlfriends, you will realize that cycle will continue, and you guys will continue moving on that cycle to nowhere up until some of you, both men and women, realize that whatever the hell you're doing is absolute bull, and you back off from that shit and either choose to be single or choose to stay faithful. Either way, the point that I am trying to make here is, whatever the hell it is that you think you're doing, that you're doing alone, will benefit you now, but it'll hurt a hell of a lot more people in the near future should you choose to continue doing the same exact thing. Although, then again, considering that I'm the single guy over here and I probably don't have too much experience with this, maybe I am wrong, or maybe there's something that I just don't see. Either way, I want your thoughts on it. The DMs are open on IG, on Facebook. It is at Breaktime, on Westside, on Twitter. It is at Bagaka the D. Thank you so much for listening all the way till the end, and I will catch you guys on the next break.